What's up, everybody? Moving on to a word problem on the test. So the revenue function for a business is given here. So r of x is equal to negative 0.5x squared plus 7x. And the expense function is e of x is equal to 2x plus 7, where x is the quantity of a product sold in thousands. How many products must be sold in order for the business to break even? Okay, whenever you see a question asking when a business breaks even, they're pretty much asking, when does the profit equal 0? Right? That's what you have to solve for. So whenever you see break even, pretty much means when does the profit for a business, I'll write it out here again, equal 0. Now we also know the profit is equal to what? Revenue minus expenses. So if the profit is equal to 0, basically we're looking when does the revenue equal the expenses, because when the revenue equals the expenses, profit's going to be 0, right? A number minus that number is going to give us 0. So in questions like this, sometimes you'll be given the profit function, and if you're given the profit function, you can just basically make that function equal to 0 and solve from there. But sometimes you're going to have to derive the profit function because you'll be given the revenue and expense function, like in this question. Notice that we're not given a profit function, we're given the revenue function and the expense function. So we actually have to make a profit function. So let's do it here actually. So the profit is equal to the revenue function. So let's put that in brackets here. So it's negative 0.5 x squared plus 7x minus, you want to make sure you put the expense function 2x plus 7 in brackets, right? Because we're subtracting that whole thing right there. So you got to put it in brackets, and it's important because you got to distribute that negative into everything in the bracket. So distributing the negative inside the bracket, this bracket here can go away because there's like a positive 1 in front. So this is negative 0.5 x squared plus 7x minus 2x minus 7, like that. Then from here, we can get like terms. So this is negative 0.5 x squared plus 7x minus 2x is 5x minus 7. Right? So notice we took a revenue function and an expense function, and we made a profit function here. And now we have to find out when is this business going to break even. So we have to make the profit function equal to 0. Right? So we'd be solving when does negative 0.5x squared plus 5x minus 7 equal 0. Now notice that we have a quadratic equation here. So two ways to solve it. You could try to factor it, or you could throw it in the quadratic formula. And this is actually not going to factor smoothly. Just going to save you the hassle. So we're going to have to throw it into the quadratic formula. We know the quadratic formula is what? Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So notice here, profit function, a value is negative 0.5. The b value is 5, and the c value is negative 7. So we have to plug all of these into the formula. So basically, x is going to equal negative b, so negative 5, plus or minus b squared, so 5 squared minus 4 times the a value, negative 0.5, times the c value of negative 7. It's going to be all over 2 times negative 0.5. And when you do that full calculation, the two answers you should get from the quadratic formula are x equals 1.683 and x equals 8.317. So when you plug all these in, make sure you're getting those two answers. You should be pretty comfortable at this point going from here to here with your calculator. So notice that both of these are positive here. So basically there's 2 points where the profit is going to equal 0. And if we were to show this on a diagram, so, sorry, let me make this a little bigger actually. So if this is the profit here, and then this is X, the number of products sold, this is a quadratic. Notice the profit function, it's a quadratic that opens down. So it looks something like this, right? So basically at 1.683, this point, and then at 8.317, at that point, the profit is equal to 0. It's basically the x-axis. Now, if they were asking you for the maximum profit, right, you could also find this point. You could find the midpoint between these two intercepts, right, and then plug in that midpoint into the profit function. That would give you the max profit. They're not asking for that in this case. They're asking for when are you going to break even? When is the profit equal to 0? Now, to fully answer this question, finally, these are in thousands. Notice that the X value is the quantity of a product sold in thousands. So what you have to do is you have to take these numbers and multiply them by 1,000 to get the actual number of units sold. So the number of units, the final answer, is basically 1.683 times 1,000, which is 1,683, or 8.317 times 1,000, which is 8,317. So those are your final answers. So just be careful if they give you like the quantity of a product sold in thousands or in millions. You got to take these answers and multiply them by whatever that amount is, right, for your final concluding statement. So 1,683 or 8,317 units sold. That is the answer to this question.